Hello, everyone. With Climate Talk, this is Mariam Shabira Basi, and today we are going to speak with one of the climate activists who is in Egypt, Sharm el Sheikh, attending Conference of Paris 27, and is very actively trying to engage and influence policymakers over there. His name is Pervez Ali. He is 19 years old, and he is originally from Khizr, Gilgit-Baltistan. And Gilgit-Baltistan is part of Pakistan, which is badly impacted by repetitive floods due to melting of glaciers. And we called it in technical terms glacial lake outburst floods, or in short, GLOFs. His activism journey is, although he's very young, only 19 years old, but it's quite inspiring at this stage because he has suffered in his childhood these devastating impacts of floods which were hit in 2010, and he became a climate refugee, or you can call it environment refugee. And he was forced by the disasters to move from his place where he was born and where he was spending his childhood to another place in Pakistan. So I'll thank you very much, Parvez, for joining us today. And let us begin with your journey as a climate refugee. What memories do you have, and what sort of experience would you like to share with us?
Thank you so much for giving such a brief and very beautiful introduction about me and my journey that I've been through. Like, this is not something that fascinates me. This was just the way to deliver and the way to convey the message of the people who are actually suffering on ground and on real basis. So, starting with the journey that I've been through or that I've started as a career as a climate activist, I would call this a career. Although I'm a student of computer sciences, but this is my career that I've adopted. So back in 2010, I was just 7 and living in my village, Ghazar Yasin, with my all family members and some friends. And so we were in a small village where people used to just do their daily wages work, and they don't have any connections with the world and the knowledges and the so-called modernization. So we were living very peacefully, and something happened to our village, especially during the floodings of 2010. We were displaced because of the floodings, and our whole village was washed away, including my school. I was out of school for 6 months. And you know the revitalization process of Pakistan, just not because of the poor governance, but because of the uh, issues of reparations and all. So that was the moment when climate change was the first thing, and the climate crisis that I experienced in my early ages. It's still in my mind. It's still in my thoughts. Whenever I just look back to my childhood, this is a memory. This is although a bad memory, but this gives me a very strong, uh, push to be a climate activist and to fight for the climate justice. So, because of the illiteracy rate and the issues, the uninclusion of climate education in our system, in our education system especially, we were not even aware of what we have been through and what were the consequences, what were the causes that brought those consequences to us. So later on, in 2015, when I was when I moved with my family to Gilgit city, then I knew about the climate change and all these kind of things. Although I had some information in the flood refugee camp where UNDP and UNFCCC, some volunteers and some officials came and they told us about what climate change is and what although, but we were children at that time, and we never had that exposure to understand what really happened and what they really want to convey to us. So when I moved to city, I came to know that this is something very serious that happened with us, which is not our responsibility to cope with or to adapt to. Although it's something like we are coerced to do right now without finances, without reparations, without any plannings, without any adaptation plan. if we do have, but if we do have adaptation plans, we don't have reparations. These are just some sort of pledges and promises that they have been doing from past 26 years, and the same things are happening in 27, as I will tell you, inshallah, in the next couple of minutes. So then I started my career not as a climate activist, but as a person who is in search of this knowledge. I tried my best whenever I went, wherever I go. As a college student, I was leading my environmental club in my school and then college. And then when I moved to Islamabad for further studies, I was invited by Iqbal Badruddin and one of my best friends and my senior Kamran Bhai from Gilgit to work with them on these issues, because I was like a bit highlighted because of my work with the indigenous community of Gilgit Baltistan on these issues, as you have told, like the cloth events, the flash flood installation, everything, because most of the glaciers are located in Gilgit Baltistan region of Pakistan, all over the world. If you will just take a look on these, so we are most vulnerable to actually to climate crisis. So then I started as a co-founder and obviously a lead organizer from Fridays for Future Pakistan. Although I was activist, just an activist, but when they just this credit goes to the board of directors and to the organizers of Fridays for Future Pakistan, that they gave me all the platforms and nourished me the way they were supposed to do. And then it just went through some phases, and then I entered in fully into this as a climate activist. So that's a short and brief story about my journey.
Thank you, Pervez, for sharing your journey towards Fridays for Future in Pakistan. And to tell the viewers, Pervez is the country coordinator for Fridays for Future in Pakistan. So, would you like to shed some light on how you are connected with different communities in Gilgit-Baltistan back by sitting in Islamabad, because you are studying as well, how you are mobilizing youth over there and how you are giving them awareness, because as we know that there are like connectivity and internet issues in different parts of Pakistan as well. There are not a lot of facilities when it comes to education. Education or environment education in whole Pakistan is not different than Gilgit-Baltistan.
Yeah.
But you know, Gilgit-Baltistan particularly, it is lacking a lot of resources. So how Fridays for Future is working over there and on ground?
Like Fridays for Future Pakistan is a mechanism as other NGOs working in Pakistan. Like we do have 7 chapters in 7 cities. Like 4 provinces are already there, but we have added Gilgit-Baltistan chapter, and then the chapter of Fridays for Future Jammu and Kashmir as well. So we have 7 chapters altogether. Fridays for Future Gilgit-Baltistan, Azad Jammu Kashmir, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Peshawar, we have Balochistan, we have Karachi, Sindh, and we have Punjab. And then I've received a mail today from Chitral as well that they want to establish a chapter of Fridays for Future in Chitral as well. So this is like a knowledge and awareness that is spreading throughout the country. Fridays for Future Pakistan is the largest, or I should say the biggest climate movement or climate awareness movement, climate advocacy movement that is running right now in Pakistan. We have been like working with a lot of NGOs, and obviously the seniors who are guiding us, like Rafe sir, Anam Didi, and then Anam Zeib, and every one of like the people who are directly working in different NGOs in Pakistan, Dr. Imran Khalid, and a lot of people. If I would tell you the names one by one, it's a long list. Those people are really helping us and facilitating us at each and every level. So as far as we are concerned with the mechanism of Gilgit Baltistan and Fridays for GB, so it's working in 3 different districts right now, boldly, I should say. It's working in Ghazar chapter because I am from Ghazar, so I have a lot of contacts, friends who are studying with me who have been climate victims. So I have a strong connection, and the ideology I've put in front of them is fascinating them. And obviously, Fridays for Pakistan is well renowned and working good in Ghazar. As in the recent times, we have been doing flood refugee camps all over Pakistan, but especially in Balochistan and Gilgit-Baltistan, it was like We did very well. So there is working in Hunza and FFF Baltistan, which is Skardu. So there are three different sub chapters there as well, because to facilitate the people directly in their areas, not to stay at a focal point or a center point like in a city, and then you just pass your commands. Like, it's not going to work like that. We have to bring more awareness and more climate activists just to strengthen our voice, strengthen the narrative of the people. We are working on IPS, which actually is indigenous policy suggestions, which we would nourish in coordination with GIZ, which is a German initiative in Pakistan on energy and climate change. We are working with the Ministry of Climate Change. And Ministry, we are now proposing Ministry of Education to properly include one practical and some syllabus into the daily syllabus of, or I should say, the curriculum of our students who are studying in schools and then in universities and then in colleges. So this would give them an exposure of what climate change really is and what climate change is, how it was brought to us, and what we can do in order to mitigate the risk. Not that mitigation I'm talking about, like the GHE. So, and there is always an adaptation plan for every province. So the GB as well has their own adaptation plan, and under the 18th amendment, they are working really well on the indices. So they are submitting each and everything. Like, on papers, you will see a lot of things that are ongoing. But when you will visit those places on ground, you will see a very vivid difference from the papers to implementation. It's not because of the poor governance. I'll again tell you that it's not the poor governance only, it's just because of the lackage of reparations. In order to implement the adaptation plan, you would definitely need reparations, and reparations are coming from the developed countries, the 20 most emitting countries. E20, it's a term we use as climate activists. It's E20, and emissions are coming from those 20 countries. If they want to reduce their emissions and reduce the effect of climate crisis on the people, on the indigenous people, and people like us who are actually experiencing this, so they have to pay money in order to adapt to it. Even at least we can adapt to it. Without reparations, we cannot do anything. Like, 33 to 40 million people were displaced in my country, in Pakistan. And that's not something just ironically someone is telling you. I've seen that in front of my eyes. I've been to Balochistan. I went to Sindh, skipping my classes just to see what really is happening and what we can do in order to bring that uh, capacity building, and what in order to bring uh, you know uh, it's a matter of human rights. They have the right to live a good life.
Definitely, Pervez, one has to agree with you that it is now a matter of human rights when it comes to countries like Pakistan. So, I mean, it's very heartening to see that how at a very young age, you, along with other Pakistani youngsters, have started and mobilized this movement on ground and practically doing something. So, how do you see the response of the government of Pakistan, particularly Ministry of Climate Change? Because I have followed that one of the demands from young activists is also that because you guys are the future of Pakistan. So, future of Pakistan, are they guys considering you in policy making? Do you guys have any say? What is the activism at your end on this side?
It's not something like, it's not some a matter of criticizing each other, like the government is lacking this and the youth are lacking this, and it's not something like that. If you are bridging the gap between the government and youth movements and youth NGOs which are working on ground and bridging the youth associations working on climate change, climate advocacy right over in Pakistan on ground, and it's a matter of like do or die for people like us, for the indigenous communities of Gilgit Baltistan, indigenous communities of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and you can see the human rights violations and this is a human right violation. If I'm not getting climate education, it's a violation of the human right that I should be addressed, that why I'm experiencing this. And as far as you're talking about government, the role of Pakistani government right now is to address the adaptation plan and obviously the reparations, but they are not doing this. I've been to the negotiations because I'm part of Yongo as well. So they are keeping me very inclusive in these kind of things. So I addressed the president of the presidency of COP27 on the very first day. But I was not even, briefed what Pakistan's narrative is, what Pakistan's government's narrative is, and the youth movements, like we came all over from Pakistan to Egypt just not to explore what Egypt is, what Sharm el Sheikh is, and what COP would be. We are here to, deliver the voices of the victims who were affected on ground and on real basis. It's not a small figure like 33 to 40 million people were displaced. You are losing 18,000 schools. You will the cost of revitalization and rehabilitation of these schools is above 283 billion. So it's not some amount that you can collect from your taxes or someone can give you in just on the name of debt or some funds. It's our right to get that loss and damage fund. It's not something they are giving us in some kindness or in return of some it's our right. You should ask as your right. You should present your narrative as this is our right. Pakistan should be leading this from the global south because we are the most vulnerable in this, despite being 0.1% contributors, and we are among three most polluters. Like on the right side, it's India, on the head of Himalayas, it's China, and on the left, it's Iran. So where are we gonna go? We are not even safe from the smog, and you can see the issues that we face in amid the months of November and then until February. So it's something I would just take just 1 minute to tell you about the role of ministry and the gap between the youth movements. Yeah, like I was contacting the ministry since August because we were told that we will get accreditations and we will get each and every fundings and everything. Like so we were very focused on what the outcomes of COP should be for Pakistan and what our narrative should be there as climate activists. If we are talking about loss and damage, obviously we are going to take the narrative of government over there. If we are talking about the youth and role in policy making, then we have to discuss this with the government first, that what our narrative should be there and what we can give you as a it's a force. 60% of the population is under 30 in Pakistan, and if we are creating that force from Pakistan, we can create that voice all over Asia. And if Asia is coming with a voice to the COP, it's going to create a very massive change. If I'm from Pakistan working on this, there is someone from Nepal obviously working on this, and he wants some power from some assistance and some voice power from different countries. So we have to gather like um, leaving all the grudges and personal issues away. We have to be on the same page for this thing, for this cause. Like we don't want the policies to be made for us just in written in black and white form. We want to be on the tables when policies are made. So this is what we want. This is what the youth of Pakistan and youth of Asia and South, the global South wants.
I think it's beautiful thing about this COP is that I think in the history of past 26 COPs, this is the first time where Pakistani delegation has taken youth with them, and they are literally
Sorry to interrupt you. Pakistani delegation has nothing to do with the youth delegation that we have brought with us. We are totally self-funded. We are totally like we are away from the ministry's help or something like that. Although we are representing Pakistan because it's something our people are in dire need of, and what uh, you know their issues are our issues, and if we step in their shoes, because one of the climate refugees is speaking to you, so obviously I have to be very diplomatic right over here at COP. So it has nothing to do with ministry. The youth, they were almost, I think, I don't really remember how many youth came from Pakistan with associated with different NGOs, but I think they are around 12, and just one and only a youth activist, Rida Rashid, she got some help from UNICEF just for her accommodation, and that's it. That's the only help INGOs and NGOs are giving to us. We just, it's like, I don't want to speak about all those things, what happened at the panel and what how we were treated and what our narrative was and what the special assistant to prime minister on youth affairs said to us in front of international media. I don't want to go into that and spoil this conversation, but I really want to be diplomatic. I really want to be the voice of that person who is suffering in Sindh, that person who is suffering in Balochistan, and that person who is suffering in KP and GB Chitran. So that's what I think matters.
Well, thank you for understanding, for clearing my misunderstanding about this. I thought that, okay, our government has taken youth this time with them, and it was really heartening to see. But I'm really glad to see the kind of positive energy from our youth over there at COP27, and from you, like you explained now, you're not angry with your government, you're just amplifying their voice, and that's what we need from each and every segment from Pakistan as well, be it media, civil society, or any person, to be the voice of government of Pakistan at this stage, because they are busy in negotiations over there, and we really want compensation, which is our right, not relief when it comes to loss and
Yeah.
damage. So, talking about loss and damage, what were your demands at COP27? Although negotiations and everything is going on, but what the Pakistani youth was demanding from the developed world over there? What were the specific demands related to loss and damage?
When the first speech, when the first panel, I was like, when I was part of it, I just told them, they just asked me in just, for informal way in a panel, and that I think panels should be like informal discussions, not something that is just skipping or binding you to some certain rules and regulations. They just asked me what loss and damage means to you, what loss and damage means to the youth of Pakistan. And I just simply replied them, loss and damage means the health issues that we are facing right now in Pakistan, the waterborne diseases, the diseases like malaria and dengue, which are just spreading because they don't have any place to live, any shelter to just stay under. And loss and damage, it doesn't mean you are losing something very serious. It means you are losing humanity. It means you are losing each and every hope that God has created for you, and you are losing mental peace. I'm one of those. I can show you my medicines, which what I just take. It's not something that the youth of Pakistan is not experiencing. If we are jamming, we are hanging out with friends, it doesn't mean that we don't experience what has happened and what is gonna happen in near future. Loss and damage is totally revolving around humanitarian crisis, and it's revolving around the human rights. If you have lost 18,000 schools, what you can expect from the global community if they are not even giving a single penny to revitalize that school? And I would tell you a very recent example. I've been part of climate summit in Buni Chitral for 7 days. One of the renowned PhD scholars were there to talk about what climate changes, and they were telling the students who just came there for the residential camp. It was of 7 days. I came to know that a school was destroyed by the floodings of 2010, and it was revitalized in 2022, and still it has to be built, and still some work is just is left to done. Like, the process of revitalization in Pakistan, rehabilitation in Pakistan is so slow, not because of I will again tell you, not because of poor governance, but because of the reparations that they are getting. We just demanded that if you are talking about loss and damage coalition, if you are talking about to make this loss and damage part of the priority and the agenda, you should invest on the education system, not just give some installments in Rakesh. Just invest on education system. Just invest on health sector. Just invest on human rights. When we come to understand what human rights is, it's the right to have clean water. I'm talking particularly about Gilgit-Baltistan because it's my homeland. The water you will find there is 100 pc, and you can watch the German watch report, and you can just go through it. You will find that the water there, the people uh, are drinking there is 100 pc. Like, it's not even drinkable water. 100 pc means probability of contamination is like, you don't have words to define how people are going through. This is not something that God has created. This is what we, the people and the system, the vintage and what should I say, the old system has brought to us. And the system is old because of the investments and because of the leakage of loss and damage coalition, loss and damage finances. Our governments are pushed to do this, are forced to do this. They don't have the resources to invest or to revitalize these things. If UN is working honestly on this, and if COPE is working honestly on this, if the global north is working honestly on this, I've seen UK and Germany working on the forefront. They are providing, I've, I've all the details if you want. I've all the details and the money they have dispersed into different accounts of UNICEF and UNDP and different NGOs which are working for climate change and climate change resilience. So they are working. If the 20 countries, the top polluters, are serious about a solution, a global solution, then they should invest, not to give some chunks of money, some peanuts to the people just to get that installment and invest it back in UK, US, or Germany, or Belgium, or somewhere else. So we don't want that. We want investments. The voice of youth is just investments. Do investment on health, as I told you earlier. Do investment on infrastructure. That should be, the urbanization should be planned. The modernization has nothing to do with uh, westernization. You have to be modernized, but you should see the precautionary steps. If I will talk about a dam that has been inaugurated and that is in process of completion in Gilgit-Baltistan, there would be a lot of chaotic situation you would face, and I would obviously face, because it's not a sustainable thing to build dams. These are the issues. I think these are the main factors which are leading us to this catastrophe and this type of issues which we are facing currently right now. As I'm talking to you, we are both from Pakistan. I'm sure. As we are talking right now, I'm sitting in front of a laptop, but 1/3 of our country is still underwater.
That's right. And thank you for being the voice of so many youngsters who are suffering on ground in Pakistan due to floods of 2022 and before floods in summer, heat waves and sea level rise and glacial lake outbursts, like droughts in Sindh. So it's
It's
multi-layered country, of course.
it's sorry to interrupt you. It's the issue of our geography. Like, unfortunately, we are the geographic location of Pakistan is a bit challenging for us. Like, if you will go to the northern side of Pakistan, you will find glaciers melting, and if you will go to the southern region, you will face drought and extreme high temperatures. In Dadu, we have recorded the world's highest temperature in Dadu this year. So you cannot just say the urbanization is the only thing that has been like contributing to these temperature rises or something like that. It is a factor, though, but it's not the only factor.
It's you're right that you were explaining, and it's you very rightly explained that it's climate change is just multi-sectoral issue when it comes to its impact. And I quickly want to move on to the last question, and which is like this COP27 last week is going on. It's very crucial because they are going to finalize negotiations in next couple of days, and those would be announced. So, what are your hopes from COP27 related to these negotiations going on, be it loss and damage, be it adaptation, mitigation, technology transfer, knowledge transfer, related to water or multilateralism? What are your hopes, number one? And second is, what would be your reaction when those expectations won't be met?
I would just tell you a very brief, statement, or I should say, view of Fridays of Future Pakistan, not only a single view. I would tell you, like, it's something like we are hopeless. I'm hopeless, but not demotivated yet. Like, some policies or some negotiations are already done in New York 6 months back, and those will be implemented in COP, and that's it. That's the procedure of the COP, how it's working. People think that negotiations take place in the halls of these COPs, these lavish halls, and a place which is worth visiting, and a place for like a tourist destination. It's not supposed to be a place for a conference. It's not a place for indigenous people like us. It's not a place to live for a person coming from Pakistan to attend this COP and tell his stories. If you have to think about what the challenges they might have faced and what the challenges they might will face here in at the COP venue, so you have to be very precise about each and everything. If I'm paying as an activist, I'm paying $310 per night for the hotel right over without food. So how it's gonna work? Like, you can understand what COPE really is. It's nothing for us. It's nothing for the activists. It's nothing for the indigenous community. It's nothing for the country altogether. If you are talking about the negotiations and what our hopes and what our reaction would be afterward, like, it's already decided. The COPE has some biased, some not some. It has like all the decision are biased in a very brief manner. Like, because of the lackage of uh, bridging the relationships between developing countries and developed economies. It's not about global north and global south. It's not about the strong economies and growing economies. It's about the relationship between the people of the global south and the people of the global north. How they are taking humanity, and how their perspective is about humanity. If you are talking about humanity, I will give you an example. If two people are dying in US and hundreds of people dying in Pakistan, obviously UN is going to take action on those two people who are dying in US, not in Pakistan. And if UN is going to take action, the whole global north will stand at a point where they will help those two people instead of helping those 100, because our life has no value in front of them. I've been to different panels. I've been talking to different ambassadors and even the co-presidency, and even we have been in contact, and we have been in like we were in a meeting with the Secretary General United Nations, Antonio Guterres, and we have seen that what our position is, what our life means to them, and what our sufferings means to them. They just will uh, feel like they would just give you some condolences in return, and that's it. They are not concerned with 100 billion US dollars, 200 billion US dollars, the pledges they have met in COP26. This is the COP of implementations. And if I'll give you some footages that I've taken, what implementation is and where the implementation is, you will laugh on this and you will say, okay, they are wasting some money and some time and advertising a city, and that's it. That's how the system works. If you will see the press release of COP27, prior coming here, we have seen that the buses are electric. And the transport system, I think you are well familiar of the transport system right over here in Egypt. They have written that this is the bus system is electric bus, and you will just be dropped everywhere and it's free of cost. Yesterday, when we were coming back with our friends, I've seen three buses. I'll precisely give the name: SH5, SH7, SH1. These were the three buses which were standing at a gas filling station, and they were fueling them. And it's like something very hypocritic. If you are giving a press release like we are using electricity as power, and like, so you can understand what COP is now. Like, if we are hoping for the loss and damage finance, and that's the only point. The reparations, that's the only narrative Ministry of Climate Change Pakistan and the youth of Pakistan are hoping from the United Nations, and that's it. Because the adaptation plan needs reparations, and that's obvious, and that's definitely obvious. So if they are not going to give us, or not going to, although they have just reduced some money from the loss and damage coalition and loss and damage finance and green climate finance and whatever, but if they are going to make this prominent, permanent, and if they are going to release this as a permanent reduction, and if they will reduce this, then that's going to be something very chaotic throughout the country and in Asia specifically, and especially those countries who are giving fuel to them for the decisions and who are supporting them. And this is not just me, this is not just Fridays Future Pakistan. This is the decision of the youth, where we were just sitting, all the youth bodies from different parts of the world. We were sitting at Youth Pavilion, and they have decided if it demands bloodshed, let it be, because it's enough is enough. And now you have to implement. And now is the time, because it's not 1.5 degree. They are talking about 1.5 degree. My country is experiencing the, as I've told you earlier, like my country is already experiencing 3.5 or above maybe. The glaciers in my north are melting like I've put them on a stove. Like this is the point I want to make. Like all the youth movements around the globe, they want justice. And if we are the youth, we should be on the tables. It's not something you're just giving a board of youth NGOs putting in front of a table, and we are just sitting there moderating your uh, fake promises and all, and you're taking your dice from your country and putting in front of you, and you're just showing your powers. It's not gonna work. Those
Thank you.
are the
Thank you.
points that.
Thank you, Pervez, for sharing your point of view. And I'll sum up this vlog with your quote. We are hopeless but not demotivated. And let's build on that for the future as well. Thank you very much for your time.